So these are the floor boxes in the back, and you can flip this down to put a cable through. And here you'll see the cat ties that we were talking about. It says cat tie 17, cat tie 18, and those were in that little patch bay there. You can patch whatever you need here. Microphones 25, 26, 27, and 28. That comes out of the patch bay back there too. And then returns for floor monitors, like we talked about with choirs and stuff. That's how you can plug a stage monitor in, which I did for the musical. I put a monitor right here, aiming the stage, and plugged it into one of the return channels. That's how I got it here. You got power, and then you have one quick mix microphone jack. So these, you can take a microphone or any XLR, plug it into quick mix, and it is a fader on the touch panel.
Ah, got it.
So you can, without even turning on the digital console, you can have a handheld microphone, plug it into here, and use it in quick mix. We have not really used that. But it is available. When Craig and I talked, I'm like, oh, maybe we want a microphone for like a presentation or something that's not our wireless microphones. So we just put one in these front boxes.
Okay.
So that's the box. And there's a little bit of a variation down here we'll talk about quick. This is just a lighting box. And I just barely got it in there. This is just lighting. It's just lighting, and it's just for Pastor Mike's and Time of Grace's floor lights up here. It's just power and a lighting input to control these lights.
Okay.
That's all this box does. Just keep it taped down. We sometimes take this away for musicals and stuff. So then we have to plug it back in when we're done. And then the last thing would be that mess.
Whoa.
So what this is stuff for being able to do a presentation from the stage. And we have some a little bit longer cables here. What we probably need are, one of my cables. I had two short cables. For some reason we're using a long one. So what you have in here, the reason this is a mess is because we have two things with long cables because we wanted the range. This is really all you have. An audio jack and an HDMI. So, and they both have a little bit of length, so you can put a laptop up on the stage here and do a presentation, plug audio, plug video, and we can put it on the projector.
Okay.
This is a Crestron converter, takes the HDMI and converts it to cat line. And I have that plugged into cat tie 20 back in the booth. Yeah. So what do you think I might do with that? I patch it from 20 with a line over to whatever's back by that computer, whichever cat line is in the booth. I have another one of these up there and an HDMI there. Right. So that's how we get it in to be able to show it on the screen.
Nice.
So that's what this guy is. This is an audio, just a lot of times, no, actually, I think we need this with how our system is set up. We don't have audio over HDMI with how our configuration is, so we need this guy. This is a little stereo DI box specifically for like these little RCA. Mm-hmm. You can plug other stuff into it as well.
Yep.
This does need to be phantom powered to work.
Okay.
So that's one thing. This runs to the audio mixer. So this you cannot use on Quick Mix.
Okay.
This is the only way we really could do this to get audio from here is to run it to the audio console because we converted over to XLRs.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody were running the system in Quick Mix, would the HDMI work?
The HDMI should still work because the video is unaffected by that. Quick Mix is mostly just audio.
Okay.
And I think it actually totally is all audio. Yeah. So you would need console.
Is there any future project that you were planning on doing with this setup right here?
No, because this is the only way without ripping the whole building apart.
Okay.
Of getting video back there. I mean, what you could do actually, but I think I didn't do this is because of the phantom power. You could send audio in through QuickMix here, but I think I needed phantom power to do this, so I think I had to go through the console to do that. I think that's what happened.
Oh, that makes sense.
So
Okay.
So this could probably be tidied up and figured out, but this was our solution to get presentations on stage.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wanted you could get a shorter HDMI if you wanted to. I just wanted one in case they wanted to be back there further, so that we could have the length.
Yep.
And so I would probably just kind of flip this guy down, close it like that.
Yep.
And then I got my 2 cables here.
Okay.
So that's kind of how we did it. So I'll just roll that up, lay that back in there, and for the next person to open up and say, whoa, there's a lot of stuff in there. You do have to watch out for pinching when you close these doors. And this one I want nice and flat because I don't want Pastor Mike tripping off the stage.
Yep.
The last thing I'll show you here, I suppose we got more as we go around. On the boxes is this box over here. Remember when I said there were only 32 inputs on the mixer and 36 inputs on stage? Here's 33, 34, 35, and 36. So everything on the stage is 1-to-1 until you use this one.
Okay.
So I used to have a microphone over here to capture the room before I mounted them up high. So I had to patch it in here and find a number back there so they didn't correlate perfectly. But and there's one more quick mix there. Yep. Just hit the Avioms quick. These guys are again plugged in with the cat line, and they are patched down into the box, into the cat thing. That's how they get to the back room. For those that are so 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all wireless packs because they go back in there because they're bi-directional. It gets sent to the transmitter, and then there's that dome. That's the dome antenna for the in-ear monitors.
Yep.
To the left of that is one of the paddles, and then there's another paddle on the other side of the room as well for the microphones.
Paddle up there.
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
For those who are not using wireless, they plug their headphones in directly. So that's why it's unidirectional. It's just sending to the Aviom here, and from there it comes out for the musician. It doesn't have to get sent back.
Okay.
The drums are the drums with all the mics. I try and make it tidy as best as I can around and plug them in down there. This was our drum cam that we added.
Whoa.
It's just a tiny little guy. Yep,
Wow.
the Marshall CV504. It's kind of a standard. It's a little bit of a fisheye lens. And I just have a cheapy tripod here. Here's the SDI line that we ran, and you can see the tape. Because it goes back here, it goes up into the ceiling, and then jumps over the wall into there. That's how we got it here. It just added a lot more to the shot. So that is a physically run cable. When they did the musical, I had to rip it up and move it out of the way, and then I had to bring it back in. This camera's power cable is this, just so you know, it's this goofy thing. It has a bunch of different ways to power it, like actual wires. But you can't, I just wish, could I just pick one and just, but no, you have a big dangly thing of extra things. That's just how it came. So Ableton runs here. Chelsea knows how all this stuff works. Most everyone knows how all this stuff works. We're running Dante sound card on here. And that's how we get the click and the accompaniment tracks into our system is through Dante. Yep. Probably the most important thing to note is there are 4, we're utilizing all 4 of our network lines here. Actually, one has been removed, and I can't remember what that was. We have lighting. That's this guy. This guy is Dante, so that is this computer's Dante connection. This guy is, I believe, wired internet then. Yes, this is wired internet into our AV network, which goes into our Unify system. AV network.
Okay. Yep,
so that
works.
the MIDI can talk to that computer, which is also on our AV Unify system as well. I think the MIDI travels through Unify, if I'm remembering correctly.
Okay.
Not through our isolated network. So I believe that's how I have it set up. And there was one more thing that we used to use there, and it's not there, and I don't remember what it is. But the most important thing here is the lighting controller. So this is a USB unit called DMX's. This is discontinued, and this is what we need to upgrade when Kevin was talking about new lighting. It's upgrading to something different from this. This is been phased out and probably not even compatible with the new Mac OS. So this lighting guy is a
XLR.
It's a 5-pin.
Oh.
It's a 5-pin lighting. This one has a 3 and a 5 pin on it, but this cable, you can see the lights went out, is a 5-pin, and on the other end is a network line lighting. So it's a specific 5-pin to cat line cable.
Oh, wow.
So, and then we have another one up in the booth that's also connected so that they can just, when they program lighting, they can just pick this unit, unplug it, take it back there, and plug it into the lighting system using eDMX and program the lights from back there so they can see the stage when they're programming. That's how they do it. So, and I have this hefty duty USB hub in here for all the things that this computer needs connection to. Yeah, otherwise everything else is the cables for the piano, charger cables for the wireless guitar unit, stuff like that. And then what do I have coming out of here? Yeah, we had 2 USBs. Yeah, so we got Dante over this. The Dante now, it recommends a 2.5 gig adapter.
Okay.
It gives a little warning. It's not at full speed or something like that.
Okay.
It recommended a 2.5 gig for Dante connections now out of a computer.
Okay.
So just something to know. So I did swap those out with 2.5 gigs. All the rest of the stuff on the computer is stuff that the team leads know as far as the DMX's.
So that DMX's, that needs to be replaced with ShowBuddy?
That is what I did at St. Peter. ShowBuddy is the updated version of DMX's made by the same guy. We were looking at a software which is very popular called LightKey. And you would program the lights differently with it. Mm-hmm. So I sent that to Kevin and to Jordan, who do our program lightings, just say, hey, you guys want to just watch some videos and just get your thoughts? That's as far as we got with it. Okay. This is still working. Mm-hmm. In case of emergency, could we use ShowBuddy? Yes. I have it installed at St. Peter because I use that for Christmas and Easter and Good Friday there. And there's a little unit, which I'll show you in our St. Peter time. A little DMX unit that's just a tiny little device that works with that and would work here too if we did it. Okay. And ShowBuddy, the thing that's good about that is ShowBuddy can import everything from DMX's into it. And it works very similarly. Mm-hmm. The software is built differently, but the functionality and how you adjust the lights is kind of the same. So we could switch to ShowBuddy here, okay, which is now compatible, and he is still updating. Before doing that, I was like, do we want to look and see if there's something that's easier to use, that's different, that's better, and offers more features and stuff like that. So just reevaluating it and looking at what's out there before doing that. So that can be for the next person now. Yeah. All right. I think
so. You didn't have any feelings on ShowBuddy or something different?
ShowBuddy is not. It's not very pretty. It works, but I wanted to get my hands on, because it's so similar to DMX's, and that's all I've ever used really. I wanted to get my hands on something different. Mm-hmm. And LightKey is like one of the most popular, and it has an Ableton plugin integration. So what I just initially looked at is like, here we can program by song and have a bank for the song, and then individual cues, verse, chorus. in the
Right.
presets, and then we just do a new bank for a new song. There, it looked like it was more just one big pot of settings, like lighting things. So you might have to organize it. You'd have to organize it and build it differently, I think.
Mm.
But it does have a visualizer. So you could set it up in the visualizer and program it at home in a sense, and come back and then plug it in and see how it looks. So things like that. There are different features and stuff, and I just wanted to figure out what would be the best for our volunteers. How does it work with Ableton?
Oh,
There are a
yep.
couple little glitchy things with this one that you have to do with Ableton. Maybe Likey is way better. Maybe it's just solid integration. I don't know. So I wanted to kind of do my homework on that before we pulled the trigger.
Okay.
Then that was going to be this summer's project, but then the call came and all this stuff. So I'll let whoever else is coming in to make those decisions.
All right.
Yeah. Everything else is mostly just musician stuff. They know where stuff is plugged in. The keyboard, I mean, we have a full video on how this keyboard works that Cameron did. I don't think our keyboardists are nearly utilizing the things that he said. I think they're still a little intimidated by it. So there might need to be some time, encouragement with musicians to sit down and try it out. One final thing I probably should point out on the stage up here. I know I mentioned it in the back. The lip connections are right down here. There's 3 of them. So lip left, lip center, and lip right. That's these guys, SDI, and then there's a network jack there as well.
Okay.
So when I was on the video switcher changing, this is what I'm changing, this output here,
Okay.
to whatever I want.
And that outlet I see is specially labeled AV only.
Yeah, I think because it's on there, on the system, on that, I think it goes back to that rack unit where all the stuff is plugged in to make sure we're not
Plugging Christmas lights or whatever.
Yeah, which I think we do anyway. So unless maybe they're plugging them in down on that one.
Oh.
That could be,
Oh, yeah.
That's probably where it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think those outlets probably go back into the back. I think it's important for that stuff to be on power conditioners and stuff.
Yep,
That could be what's going on there.
Okay.
So I think that's the main thing. All of the lights are in the back. Oh, maybe maybe we should just jump to the room quick since we're out here. Let's just do that. Yeah, all the lights are in the back, daisy chained together on 2 different sets. About halfway through, there's an outlet in the middle on the back where the rest of the lights are plugged into, daisy chained. So not all of them are on one outlet.
Okay.
But broken up for power distribution. All the lights. There's lights all over the place. There are some lights up here that are Time of Grace's lights. Actually, they kind of, I think, bought them all initially. But they're those big Fresnels. Those are the ones for Pastor Mike for Time of Grace. Those are kind of like do not touches because they've been aimed, spread out, try to get the most even light for Pastor Mike for sermon recording. So we don't touch those guys. I've set lights on the vocalists. And then we used to use some of the other ones, but there are a number of them that we're not using right now. I kind of told the musical Jared to try and use those lights as much as possible because then it's just less to adjust because I'm not using them. So the best light I found is like each vocalist just has a straight on light.
Okay.
I used to utilize multiple lights on sides and stuff, but it just was so much light. It was too much for the music portion. So I think the 3 that are turned on are like the 3 singers right now.
Okay.
And then there's a light for the keyboard, there's a light for the drummer, there's a light for the hosts.
Okay.
But you can get on the lifts and move them. You just got to make sure you move them back.
Mm.
And then same with this stuff. There are a couple Fresnels on the back too for Pastor Mike that we don't touch there. That light also is for Time of Grace, a filler light underneath that projector up there as well. So the little controller I was showing you, the DMX in the back room, that is what's actually giving the commands out to the lights to go on or off, change color. And here, that little device, the DMXis, is what's sending, okay, here's what value I want, sending it to that device over the network. And that's what's listening, and then, okay, then that sends the command to the light. So that's controlling all the lights in this room. But one important thing, every now and then we have a light that goes out. We have had lights burn out pretty frequently, and I kept calling Sean, like, I got another light, it's burned out. Send it in, and the power supply burned out. And they've been fixing it out of warranty, even if it's been past it, because it's kind of like a defect. So we've gotten a lot of lights, brand new power supplies put in a bunch of these lights, because I felt like I kept mailing them in. So that should be it. But there are some times where, like, the light is not turning on. What's going on? There are maybe some things to check on the lighting board, but just so you know, back here is the breaker box. These black panels here is the lighting system. I don't remember, but Sean had to put this guy in to expand our system. But in here are all the breakers for the lights. So you'll see front beam 1, 2, 3, house left. I think that's what that means. Front beam, rear beam, house right, rear wall, etc., mid beam, whatnot. Sometimes I've had to, where the lights are not working, it's similar, a little computer in it gets stuck, needs a reboot. The way to reboot it is figure out which one it is, turn the breaker off, turn it back on. Or do what I do and turn, I think it's that one, turn it off. Nope, that didn't turn the right lights off. Come back. I think maybe this one. Nope, that's not the right one. Just start flipping them all off and then flip them back on. That has fixed the lights a number of times. They just get locked up and they just need a reboot.
Okay.
So that's where you do it, is in there. So you shouldn't be afraid of breaking anything. Exit lights, I wouldn't mess with those. Stage door lights, house cleaning lights, sconces. But I wouldn't mess with the control power. Maybe that's the one. I don't know. But you can flip these off. It just turns turns the outlets on and off. Okay. And that will give because those lights basically are always on as well. They're just told to turn off. And there is a breaker when you turn all the lights off. In DMXIS, there's a lighting bank that's called power off that we switch to. There are DMX controlled, I don't know if it's in here. It's probably control power. I bet you it's that. There's a DMX signal that instructs the breaker to turn on or off. So it does power something down. And you hear a plunk in the back here when you turn it off. You'll hear when the lights go out after a couple seconds here.
Okay.
Actually, I probably could replicate it real quick for you, because I don't think the audio or the lighting console is turned on right now. So I've instructed the worship leads, when they're done, under general, their lights off. If you click it, oh,
they went dark.
Yeah, but not everything. So there's lights turned on there. So that's overriding back there. So if that's not on and those lights are off and you hit lights off, you'll hear a breaker go clunk in the back. It's turning the breaker off to conserve power. That is because there are, I have lights off now. I gotta go to blackout. Blackout is all the lights are turned off, but the breaker stays on. So if I were to scroll through here, general control, I think it's that guy. Or no, maybe it was these guys. There are some breakers that on a DMX channel need to be at 100%. That is a breaker instruction. It's like keep the breakers on. So that's why in lights off, I turn those off so it turns the breaker off. I believe the lighting is set up. I think Sean said that if there's no signal, no DMX signal, like all the devices get powered off, that if it doesn't hear anything after so many minutes, it will just turn the breaker off. So it should still be okay, but I like to just make sure lights off, power down at the end of a service so that we're not wasting power.
Okay. So switching, let's say we switch to Show Buddy, that controls all the lights.
Anything can control all the lights because you can plug into the system and have all the DMX channels. Channel 1 through 512, I think, is on one universe. And you're just telling that back thing, hey, 487 at 75%. So no matter what program you plug in, no matter if you're using a lighting console, or if you're using ShowBuddy, or if you're using DMXs, or if you're using LightKey, that's really what it's doing.
Just interfacing.
It's interfacing, yeah, and say, 423 at 25%. That's like, okay, got it, and turns that channel up.
So whatever program we even switch to, we'd have to program it to say 427 is this light.
Yes, and that's what I did in this thing. That's a good point. I do have a Google sheet with, I think is mostly pretty much all accurate. I think we did make the updates where, one of these lights is DMX channel 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5. So it uses 5 channels of DMX. So brightness, red, green, blue, white.
Okay.
Something like that. So that, yeah, you would have to plot out all of your lights when you put a new one in. Okay, light 1 is this, and you can probably copy most of it just visually. And that would take some time to make sure you have the right number of channels, that RGBs are all assigned right, and things like that. Yeah, good point. You would have to set that up, yeah.
So how, because this system you showed me is no longer supported, how high on the urgency list is that? Because if
it's just if that box fails.
Yep. Okay.
That would be the only thing.
So if that box fails, we can only control the lights by the lighting board.
Yeah, which I would say, while you're figuring it out, we have basic RGB control back there. Turn on blue, and then have the lighting for a second song. Oh, let's turn on orange and just move the faders.
Okay.
So
manually,
you just do it manually for the time being.
Okay.
Yeah, until you can get something up and running. Yep. And potentially, that's another reason why I'm not updating the Mac OS on here right now, because it's not guaranteed. This is not guaranteed to work beyond whatever it's on. Mm-hmm. So I think Chelsea had emailed about that once. I'm like, no, don't do that update. I don't want to break DMXs. So I'm not updating this until we do figure that out. Okay. And it's just running Ableton. That's all it's doing. So it's fine. But in case of emergency, you could, I don't remember how the licensing for ShowBuddy works, but you could install it. There is an import from DMXs button in ShowBuddy that could import all of the lighting changes, and maybe even all the channels too.
Okay.
And in theory, that could work.
That could work.
So for the Easter and Christmas at St. Peter, it was real easy. I just had 4 lights. So I just put 4 lights in the ShowBuddy and just did 4 lights. And that was all it was. And here we got the whole room of lights. So
okay.